Do you ever feel you're being guided by a spiritual presence or protected during an accident, comforted in a time of crisis? Well, if you do, you're certainly not alone. My name is Anzalone, and this is What Matters Most. Today we're coming to you from Circle of Miracles in New Britain, Pennsylvania, and we're going to be speaking with not one, not two, but three spiritualists who connect daily with heavenly divinity. Serendipity. Frank Capra's 1947 classic, It's a Wonderful Life, taught us all that every time we hear a bell, an angel gets its wings. Well, whether that's true or not remains to be seen, but the lesson that Clarence left us all with is timeless. No man is a failure who has friends. And these three women have some friends in high places. Candy Danzas is known as the mainstream mystic, specializing in angel communication and spiritual counseling. Pat Caffrey embodies the Angelic Council of Light, bringing messages of personal and global importance to support people and accelerate them on their journey. And Mary Note Law incorporates channeling, energy work, and artistic expression to create sacred healing works of art. Ladies, welcome to What Matters Most.
Thank you, Eric.
Sure. Now, let's start with birth. It's where it all begins. But ironically, it's actually a choice to separate from the entire one of being. Now, Pat, you actually address this in your book, and the Angelic Council has an explanation for this, correct?
Right. Yeah. As the council, we are in non-physical form, all one. There's no separation. We are just one large group of energy that is sustained and united. When we come and experience what it's like to be here on Earth in a body, then we get to experience things that we've never experienced before, and it's really quite amazing. I mean, even things like taste and touch and things that you take for granted because you've just had them your whole life are just so special and so unique and so just awesome to just experience that souls line up to come here to experience it. Then you get here and you think, oh, it was really tougher than we thought it was going to be. And it's not so much fun anymore. But yeah, it's just an amazing experience. And so we decide to come down here and have these experiences in physicality. So that
we, meaning us, our
all of us, every human being who's here has decided to come down here and experience what it's like to learn whatever it is we want to learn or experience.
But when we decide that, you know, because I'm up in heaven sitting by the pool having a cocktail and enjoying the sunlight, why would I want to leave that? Why would I choose to come back down here?
Because you can't experience those things there. It sounds great. We wait all our lives. We say, oh, we can't wait to just be free of all of this stuff and it's going to be great. We can just sit by that pool and have our cocktails and isn't it going to be great? But missing the things that we experience here, like, say, a relationship with someone else, just hearing a bird sing or touching a loved one or kissing a friend. I mean, it's just, there's experiences here that you can't have when you're back in oneness. And it's a lot more enticing than you think. You leave and you want to come back again.
An interesting way to put it, at least as the angels have spoken to me about it, is that here we have substance to create with. And there it is, it already is. We come down here to be vehicles of creation and to enjoy the art of creating. And we were talking about coming from oneness to this place. When we are small, we remember that we came from oneness to this place to create. And it takes a few years for us to get it drummed out of us, I like to say. And some of us never allowed it to get drummed out of us.
Or are reminded later, or it all comes back to you in a flashback, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Like that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Then if you could say that birth is a choice that we make, our souls make to come down here, then is death, which is a doorway, and not an end, wouldn't death then necessarily, couldn't you call death an involuntary choice? Because we're not choosing to die. As a matter of fact, many of us, even if we know what's to come, are still fight death, even when it's on our doorstep. So death in itself is involuntary and not an end, right?
You know, it's that voluntary, involuntary is a large part of our conscious awareness, but we're such complex beings, and our energy and our matrices are so much beyond what we're consciously aware of. We're embodied souls. So there are choices that go on at a higher level than our awareness. And there's a part of us that's always aware of what lies beyond the physical. And so even if we're kicking our feet and thrashing and denying at this level of knowing what it is that's going on, there's still a part of us that says it's time to go home.
We were working with a gentleman who had brain cancer at one point, and we were working with him, and he was saying he had one more round of chemo that he wanted to do, and he was staying, and he was fighting this, and this is the way it was going to be. And at the same time, we were hearing his soul say, no, I'm going home. I'm done. It's our time. We're going home. And sure enough, within the next couple of months, he did, but he went with peace, and it was a whole different experience for him because we could work with him. And he had come to peace with that. But his body, his mind hadn't caught up with the fact yet that his soul was ready to leave. So you're absolutely right. There's a different awareness going on than we're aware of.
When we separate and we're born, do we know how much time we're going to have in this physical life already? Is that something we know?
From what we see and from what we work with all the time, there's always choices. We have an idea of what we will probably do, but there's several different times that are written in that we could leave if we choose to, or we could stay longer. We can create this, as you say, and write this as we go along.
It has been my experience in working with clients that their angels will often tell me that they have set up several outs for this lifetime, and that we often know when we're passing through one of those outs. And the choice to stay can sometimes be bittersweet, because the desire to go home is there, but the desire to continue here and create is still a possibility as well.
Yeah.
Well, life is always a challenge and always challenging. And we fight life a lot. And instead, we should experience a state of allowance, correct? That we should, it's a blessing to be here, and that what we are given is a blessing and we should work with it. How does this influence, having this ingrained into you, how does this influence a better life?
Well, I have a very concrete example. Just 2 days ago, my son came home after borrowing our car for the weekend, and he had had an incident in the middle of the night with the car. Had to slam on his brakes suddenly while transporting 5 gallons of gasoline in my fairly new car. And so about half of that sprayed around the interior. And he came home to us in the morning just really shamefaced and determined to do everything he could, but worried about our reaction and really beating himself up emotionally for something that had really been outside of his control. And our first reaction was, our son is healthy, safe, and alive. The next reaction was all of the tens of thousands of dollars worth of film equipment that he had filled the car with had been unloaded just prior to the incident. And we don't know if we'll ever get the odor out of our car, but it's done. What's done is done, and we could be berating this kid who's a nice person, and his self-esteem is being formed in some ways by his parents reacting to him. And we could just keep beating the rug about, oh, our car, we waited so long to get that car. Or we could say, well, I guess we're going to scrub the car. And we laughed and we joked and we talked about the film shoot he'd been on and just enjoyed our time together, all the while knowing that the car could be ruined. But it was so much less important, and I think that's what the allowing is, saying, okay, well, something has happened, but now we're continuing with life, and we're going to love one another and be supportive of one another. So that's a concrete example.
And life is cyclical. And when I say life, I'm talking about the infinite life that we keep returning again and again and again. Is that correct? Or do we come down here one time, 2 times? It's always, we just keep coming back?
It has been my experience from what the angels have discussed.
When you say it's been my experience, are you seeing that as a legal qualification?
I'm
So you're
saying
not
it
sued by angels?
because I ask the same questions you ask.
Right.
And so when a client comes to me, I'm excited because I'm getting the answers as the answers are being delivered through me to them. And so when I say it's been my experience, I'm excited that I'm getting the information along with them. And the information is different for every individual. The angels have told me that some have been here many times. They've also addressed the idea that all lives are happening at the same time, because in spirit, there is no linear time. Some clients can hear that and some clients can't. And so each angel works with each client individually in a different way, at the level that they can accept it and hear it. But the majority have said there are many lives, many lives.
That's also expanding behind just here with Earth lives too, because we have so many people that we've worked with that have had life experience, so to speak, in other dimensional spaces, other dimensional realms, which makes it even more interesting because they've brought wisdom and knowledge with them that helps us learn either technologically or emotionally from so many different perspectives. It's more than just what meets the eye.
I was asked to talk a little bit about the art. So this art is called sacred healing art because it is created with the intent that healing energy flow through me as the artist into the canvas. In much the same way that when we do energy work, we bring the divine light through ourselves and into our clients. And any sort of divine process in which we're dipping into our hearts and bringing something forth. And initially, I began with trying to choose a specific energy. The Dawn of Joy was painted with the intent that it be a piece that radiates joy. Behind Candy is Archangel Gabriel, My Soul Ascends, and that was painted with the Ho'oponopono. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. But then when I got to Kazi, this horse here is Cosimo. It is a portrait of my friend Reverend Carrie Christensen's horse. She's right here in the audience. And Kazi came to me in my meditation. He had the appearance of having been terribly injured. And he came to me and he showed me himself galloping across the heavens in the undifferentiated darkness of the universe where expansion had yet to occur. And he was painting the cosmos into form with the splay of his tail. And he said to me, and this gets back to your question earlier, Eric, he said to me, sometimes I just have to be out of my body a little bit so I can do this again. Because this is what I love to do. And then he recovered shortly after that. But he took a few weeks to splay his energy across the universe. With this particular one, Kazi, I had a real rough day while I was painting it. And my daughter was sick and temperamental. There had been 4 or 5 days of just nonstop temper tantrums. And I just stepped back and I heard, go upstairs to the attic where I was painting. And I just walked upstairs, and without knowing why, I stood in front of that painting. And all of a sudden, I just felt peace enter my heart. Well, my daughter was still downstairs screaming. And I said, okay, what do I do? Now, I'm not really asking the painting. I'm asking the divine, but the painting is amplifying the energies for me so that I can now receive some guidance. And I heard, get out of the house, go get some dots, which are homeopathic earache tablets. That's what we call them in my house. Go get some dots. So my daughter hates the dot store because there's mildew in the rug, and so she's already having tantrums, and I'm going to drag her to a mildewy store. And I said, honey, you want to go for a ride? You want to go get some dots? And she said, is it the stinky store? And I said, yeah, but they'll help you. She said, okay. So she went with me. We got the dots. got back to the car and I said, "Do you want to go to the park?" She said, "Yeah." 3 days prior to that, she had hugged a tree that was hanging over the water's edge in the park and been trapped there, stung by a hive of bees. But she still wanted to go back. And that day I'd also lost my car keys, so I couldn't drive her right home when she was covered in bee stings. When we went to the park, she went right back to the tree and studied it like she was making peace with the bees. And I heard a man yell, "Hello, keys!" And from way down the field hockey field plus, there was a man holding up keys to a car. How he knew they were mine, I don't know. But it began by going within. And for me, I was prodded to do that through the energy that was coming to me through the painting.
Oh, wow.
And when I was making that painting, I was guided to simply let the piece be a portal. So again, it's intent. So with my intent, I just asked that the piece itself be a portal that would stream for each person in its field, whatever energies he or she needed. The pieces have become very different, that now they're just radiant portals and we receive what we're meant to through them and we interact with them, and the paintings go on retreats with us and they share in the energies of the retreat, contributing and receiving, and so it's just getting back to that oneness, understanding that that's within us, the capacity is within us, the function as a channel is within us, and that everything is made of energy and light and matter, and so we can program and charge that energy.
And now let's invite the audience to ask any questions they might have.
My name is Diana, and my question is, what is the most powerful thing we can do to accelerate our own personal growth so that everyone benefits?
The most powerful thing you could do is to love yourself, to find that part of yourself that decides not to be less than you really are. Because you spend your whole lives, everybody spends their whole lives being told that they're not tall enough, they're not big enough, they're not smart enough, all these different things, and we buy all of these things after years and years. Finding that heart back again that opens up and says, I really am this beautiful soul. So the more that you do that, the more you become pure in who you are, the more it benefits everybody around you, because you show them how to do that and they get the benefit of your joy.
You might also consider something that Pat just said. She used the word I am. And when we use the word I am, that which we say after it becomes created here in this life. So practice the art of saying I am whatever it is you truly want to be in this lifetime. I am a being of light and love. I am loved and I am love. And the more that you use that terminology, the more it becomes part of you and your life.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And I would just add to that forgiving yourself for all of your perceived wrongs and all of your judgments that you hold against yourself. And it's that going into your heart and feeling compassion for yourself. And I think that radiates, and when you feel compassion for yourself, then you can feel compassion for others. And with that understanding and that forgiveness that flows, there's so much peace that opens up in other people's hearts just as a result of the work that you're doing on yourself. That's a tremendous amount of light work.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Saul, and I've been led to believe that before we come back another time, that we enter into a contract. Is that contract irrevocable, or can it be changed during the course of that incarnation? I sound like a lawyer, don't I?
The angels that I've spoken to about contracts have told me that they are flexible, that we have a plan, that there are some concrete things that we want to get accomplished, people that we want to work with, experiences that we want to have, and that lots of room for flexibility, expansion, and growth. So, yes, it's an open-ended contract.
Nothing is irrevocable. Everything that you do here is based on your own choices. If you do something, you make a choice. Yeah, if it's something that doesn't work out really well, you can look at that and beat yourself up for making the choice. Or you can look at that and say, well, that didn't really work out really well. I think I'll make this different choice. Before you get done, you could be taking a totally different path to get where you're going. It's yours. This life is yours. It's totally up to you how you decide to do it.
And your contracts, from what I understand, are about helping you to pursue certain lessons of the soul that all have the ultimate understanding, to understand that there's no separation between yourself and spirit, yourself and source. And that means there's no separation between yourself and love, absolute unconditional love. So the contract is for perhaps a lesson type or individuals that you'll be incarnating with who will help you in your lessons, and you will in turn help others in their lessons. And as you accelerate your spiritual awareness and come more and more often to that space of love, love of self, love of others, love of the all, then the need for those lessons that are the little burrs in your heel start to fall away. And you can always explore the patterns that are recurring in your life and say, okay, where in this pattern am I denying love? And when you do that, you look for the opening to allow love in, and then the pattern becomes obsolete and won't repeat itself in your life anymore.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'll send you love and light.
Thank you, Saul. Right back at you.
Hi, my name's Bonnie, and I have a question for the angels. And what I'd like to know is, can they talk to us and tell us a little bit about raising our own light in the presence of world chaos?
Well, yeah. Your light is within you. And so the angels are suggesting that you focus upon that. And the chaos that you perceive around you is not as dominant as the peace that is within you. Just as one atom can explode and create a blast that's seen around the world, the molecule of light, one molecule of light within you is more potent than any chaos. And never forget that that light is love. Light is the imagery that we use to convey love, but it is love, and love is more powerful than chaos and war. You are a powerful conductor, transmitter of that light, of that love. So as you focus upon it and amplify it within yourself, regardless of what is seen on the outer plane, there is an effect that is circumnavigating the globe. And it's coming back to you, but it is also affecting every aspect of life upon the planet. And it awakens that light awareness within others so that they may do the same. And that is what is happening with this ascension into fifth dimensional living on the planet. You, the light workers, you, the force of love, you, the power of truth, are bringing this about. And the chaos that you see now is just a lot of old stuff rising to the surface that you yourselves are clearing. And we are happy to participate with you. We're happy to amplify that with you. But do not underestimate the power of your love and light.
People think that the darkness has a lot of power. You give it a lot of power. The chaos being that darkness, you give it a lot of power. Because you forget that the light is the most powerful thing in the universe. Just by being that light, if you stand in that and you remember that's who you are, there's nothing that can hurt you. Darkness is just a shadow the light doesn't go away, the shadow will. The more that you shine light on the shadow, the less the shadow there is. And just like Mary said, what happens is, right now it's happening in the earth, it's happening in humanity, it's happening with everything, that the darkness or the chaos has a lower vibration on a physical, on an energetic level. It just has a lower vibration. As we become higher beings of light and higher beings of love, and we step into that, all of the lower vibrational stuff is starting to shake out. It's the stuff that you see, like the school shootings and the bombings and all these things that are happening. It's because they can no longer be sustained, because the people that are steeped in that haven't learned that that's not a positive thing to do for the world. They just can't handle it, and that's what they do with it. But it's only because that is shaking loose now, because all the rest of the world is just moving up and up and up into the realms of love. So that as you stand more and more in yours and shine that light out to others and show them how to do the same, all of that chaos is just going to disappear. Just on a very practical level, it's just not going to be there anymore. All of the fear, all of the anger, all of the rage, all of that stuff is going to just blow itself out. Doesn't mean it's not going to have its problems in the meantime. It's going to look worse for a while. But then that's going to be gone, and you'll be able to do tremendous things with this light. You just have to remember you already are that.
To sum it up on a very practical level, every day you are the light, and the angels are the bridge to the light. So on the days you think you're human and have forgotten you are the light, you ask the angels to assist you. Where there are angels, there can be no darkness. Allow them to be the bridge of light until you remember that you are the light yourself.
Beautiful, thank you.
Those were some wonderful questions. Where were you when we were putting all this together? What an amazing day that was. So enlightening. I think Stanley Kramer got it right in 1963. It's a mad, 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 mad world. Yeah, I always see it as black and white, birth and death, finite. But obviously, some people see it as a perfect circle. Or is it really perfect? A lot to think about. I guess it's pretty simple. But then the simple things in life are what matter most. Namaste.
Such a great experience being part of a program and hearing such good words and wisdom.
Felt the energy from all the speakers. It touched my heart.
I feel like a different person than when I came in.
I felt it was very comforting. It probably reinforced some of the beliefs that I've acquired over the last several years.
It just felt like the unity concept was very much expressed by all three of the women, and that's very much akin to what I feel. We're just all one.
Nothing wrong with love. You can't overdose on that.